Today is March the 1st. What time is it?
12:55.
12:55 Central Time. I'm here in a public place with Jason King and his wife.
Bibiana.
Okay. You'll have to spell that for me later.
Thank you.
And also Mike. But he's just here for verification purposes. My conversation is going to be with Jason and his wife. Before we get started, I want you all to know that I'm recording this. And I want you all to record it too for your protection. Okay?
We are.
And I want you to tell me, have I paid you anything for this interview? And have you paid me anything to do it?
0.
Okay. And I haven't promised you anything except to tell your story, your side of it, right?
I want my story told.
Okay. And I'm not working for your father's attorneys or your family's attorney in any capacity. That's not what this is about.
No, you're just a neighbor in New Hope,
Okay.
fellow citizen.
All right. Now I have a question. Why did you come to me?
You're the only one who comes to the meeting and really cares enough to record or.
Did you
voice-
go to other
voice
people?
your
Did
opinion.
you go to other reporters?
I've went
Other
to
sources?
Other reporters? No.
What kind of phone call?
I've spoke with Channel 9.
Okay. How
Back
about the
when that
newspaper over here?
No newspapers.
No newspapers at all.
No. Most of them are shut down and nobody gets these local newspapers. This will reach more people this way than it would ever would
Okay.
in a
And
newspaper.
and are you on the lawsuit right now? Either
No.
one of you. Neither one of you are on it at all.
Are you on a lawsuit?
With the city that
No.
okay.
That's only my father and Chuck.
Okay. So
I'm an heir.
okay. You're an interested party, but you're not named in the proceedings.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm going to refer to them as Chuck and Mike from here on in, just to make it simple.
That's fine.
Okay.
with me.
Take me back to when this really started, because in the meetings there's been a question that keeps coming up. The mayor keeps saying, why all of a sudden, why now, why did this start now? So take me back to when this really started.
It started when my father and Chuck gained control when Ann was sent to the nursing home and died shortly thereafter.
About what year?
That was 2017. We got a tax record from when she had paid taxes before then. She had control of the land. 2017, they went and checked the taxes to make sure they was paid up, and the land got reverted to us, or to my father and Chuck. I'm sorry.
Okay, and they have a sister.
Correct.
You have an aunt,
Paula
and
Stanley.
she has surrendered her part, sold it to them, correct?
Correct.
So now it's only a two-party ownership.
Yes.
Not, she has no dog in this
She
fight.
lives in Nebraska. She'd never be back. She's happy there where she's at, and
Okay.
we told her if our kids or something ever want to move to Tennessee, that's fine, and we'll give them a spot. But she surrendered her half because of other legal proceedings, trying to keep my grandfather's estate intact.
So she won't have any benefit. She's not a party to this lawsuit in
has-
any way, shape, or form.
0 interest.
Excellent. Okay, I just didn't want to make it look like I was keeping anything from her,
No.
doing it behind her back.
Nope. There's no reason to do it behind
All
her
right.
back. She's not in it no more.
Okay. Fast forward to, I've heard the year 2019 referenced in the meetings repeatedly. What happened in 2019 that brought us to this point?
I think it might have been actually late 2018.
Okay.
It may be early 2019. But my father and Chuck had some trees cut off of our property. And we pulled in between the gas pump and the fire hall and loaded the trees. All right, John came by earlier that day, said nothing really, left, come back that evening to get the loggers' equipment. And there sat John and Mark. And Mark told me, he said, we're done here. I said, yeah, we're done. You know, we were finished in that spot. And they said, no, we're done here. I said, you trying to stop work on our property? And they said, we're done here, you know. And I said, have you looked at the deed? And John was back there telling the logger, you know, we can go get a lawyer. That's 105 foot from this. And I told John, I said, and that stick laying right there is 105 from that fence post. I said, we're on our property. You know, and I finally asked Mark, I said, what are you fussing about? Well, I'd like to plant grass back there. So we went back there, Dad did, and seeded it and raked it out, smoothed it out with a tractor for him, and left. But me and Mark, we had a little fussing going on. And after that moment, I left, and it seems to be like he's held a grudge ever since. But 2019 is when it was quit claimed over to Father and Chuck, just
Okay.
the two parties.
Okay.
All right, and we've been fussing about this ever since we gained control, or my father and Chuck gained control of the land. It was actually passed down.
Yeah.
And at first, it was just about the gas tank because of the liability issue that the gas tank causes. It just don't need to be there.
And who have you spoken to? Who has your family spoken to about the liability to verify the?
I've spoken to what is it, Tennessee Underground Gas Works. I've got her name at the home.
Okay.
It's wrote down. I've called everybody under the sun. I've called Senator Desley, all the way up to Governor Bill Lee.
And what's everybody's opinion about whose liability it actually is?
From what I've heard, either they don't know or it's on us because it's on our property.
What does your insurance company say?
We really hesitate to tell our insurance company about that. We don't want to be dropped.
And this is an above ground tank, not a below ground
Above
tank.
ground.
Have you talked to the EPA or TDEC or anything like that?
Yeah.
I've talked to the EPA. Yeah.
What did they say about the liability? About your your family's liability should something
It
happen?
possibly could be, but nobody ever really wanted to go on record, to be honest, and give me a name. And, you know, it was kind of a gray area because they've never run into this,
So do they think that
especially from a city.
do they think the city's liability insurance and the insurance on the property would cover it if something should happen?
They being
The people, anybody you've spoken to?
the underground and above ground gas tank division, yes.
They think
They
that
think it's our liability.
it's
'Cause
your
on-
liability
it's on
that
our-
the city can't.
Yes.
can't
but
be
the
sued.
insurance, they say, other people have told me that the city insures the tank, so it ought to be them, but I never get a definite answer.
And you
But
don't have
it's-
any paper, your family doesn't have any paperwork from the city acknowledging their financial liability should something happen.
No,
Should somebody fall
no,
or have a wreck
no.
or
I asked Mark for good faith papers, and what, 2 years ago? Little more. Yeah, I asked him for good faith papers, and we'll stay on good terms about this and progress and eventually return what's ours or what's my
Right.
family's. When I say ours, you know, it's my family's. But he never produced good faith papers. He put me off and told me he had 6 months to talk to about the budget. And then 6 months later, after we waited, no answers. Didn't have no money.
okay, well now that brings me up to a point I want to clarify. How long have you all been together?
We've been married a little over 2 years. Right now.
Okay,
We've
so
been together about 4 or 5.
okay, so together long enough for her to be aware of the situation. Okay.
She's aware of the stress it puts
Okay.
on my family.
And also, are you you are your father's only heir?
Correct.
Are you
I have-
Chuck's
I have
only
one.
heir?
I'm Chuck's.
So
Chuck
this
has no kids. I'm his
so
heir.
ultimately, while you're not on the lawsuit, we're talking about your inheritance, your
Correct.
legacy.
Correct.
Okay.
My
so that's where your
grandfather's
interest
legacy.
comes in. Yes.
And we've already been fighting ever since.
And we've already
99.
lost part of it.
Yeah.
All right. I understand. Okay. Just to be clear, just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure before anybody had something to say about
Sure,
she
I
doesn't know, she's not part of the family.
No,
Why is
she's-
she even here?
she's
I want to make it
Been
clear.
listening to me fuss about it for years.
Okay. All right. Okay. So,
My dad.
let's
Coca-Cola.
Do we need to take a break?
No.
Okay. So, tell me where the line is. If I were to go and stand in front of the fire hall, wait a minute, the old firehouse / city hall, where would the stakes be for the survey? And then we're going to talk about the survey in just a second.
They would run at probably 30-degree angle from the parking lot through the second bay.
There's a
The city
there's a
hall
marker
is
there.
completely on us.
There's a marker there, right? Where is
Correct.
it actually
There's-
located?
There's a pin by Highway 156. There's a pin in front of the fire hall, and there's a stake behind the fire hall where it comes through.
But there's a pin right by the flagpole, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's where people would be most notably able to see it from the
And
road.
there's
that they
one
were
at the
driving
road
by.
that shows the angle.
Okay. And now we have. Now this is the survey that you all had done recently, right?
That's it.
Okay. Okay.
This is
And it
Highway
was-
156. This is the property we're fighting over now. This was deeded by my grandfather in 1974 to be used as a fire hall, volunteer fire hall specifically. And to me, it is no longer a volunteer fire hall, as all the fire trucks are over here in the new fire hall. And
With exception of one, I believe they
I
said
believe
is over
there's
there.
one in there, but I think it's kind of outdated.
Okay. And so there's where it was filed in
Yep.
the county. There's the name of the surveyor. Okay. What did the surveyor tell you when you let him know that you were possibly that your family would possibly be bringing it into court?
To be honest, I had to hide that to get a surveyor to come do this, because nobody wants to go up against the city.
And afterward, what did he say when your family made him aware of the fact that it was?
He messed around for a couple of days, and they said, "There's no way for me to make this property line work with Rector's old garage here, an existing garage that has the lean-to, and there's a RV and about 8 cars and parked on the city's property right through here."
Okay.
And he said, "There's no way for me to make this shift over and work, because this line runs from here
It
For-
cuts it.
It goes
It
straight
cuts
to
it.
your line.
4,000 feet or
It
more."
cuts the lean-to and the property. And to be clear, there's like a, I don't know if it's a ditch. It's just a
This is a
depression
low
there that
line
goes right
area
up. Yeah,
here.
and it's actually underwater quite a bit
Yeah,
of the time.
there's
when
a
it's raining.
culvert right here, but the water backs up and actually touches the building here every time. But I believe that's a problem because the ball field and the berm they built over here is not fixed yet.
Well, okay. To that end, is there any kind of a drainage area or any effort, even with a shovel and a pick, that's been made to make that drain away from
No,
By nobody.
away
No.
from the building?
nobody's touched anything.
Okay.
A sign fell over here 2
Yes.
months ago and it's still laying in the ditch.
I've noticed.
And this is in
That brings me to another point. Going here between the gas tank that we've been talking about and the end of the building there,
Huh?
there's enough room there to pull a fire truck between that building and that
Yeah.
thing. Actually, they back up there and
That's
fill
where-
one of them up,
That's
right?
where we loaded the wood. We pulled
Right.
in right here, and that guy had a big trailer and a 1-ton truck, and unloaded Bobcat, and went to work on our land.
And no damage to the building or the tank
No.
whatsoever. You've not caused any
No.
damage. Okay, and there's a
Hey,
flat
there
area
is right-
behind that building as well where they parked cars before, right?
Yeah, they had a police car burned to the ground right here recently, right behind this building.
I think it's been a little over a year ago,
Yeah,
maybe.
it's-
It's been over a
That's
year.
recent
I'd
to
say.
me, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Uh,
you know, that would have actually been on our property.
Yes,
Yes, I agree.
it's
I
involved
agree.
all this.
I agree. I agree. Okay. Now, so I became aware of this in 2020, and so I started sort of watching what was going on. But when was the last survey before this one done? Are you aware of? Did the city ever have a survey done there?
No,
Okay.
Evidently not.
no,
Okay.
no.
And to be clear, the current mayor and city council are not the same ones that were in power when your grandfather put this deed in action,
No,
right?
this
However,
deed, this deed was left to the trustees of the fire department, which were my grandfather, Guy Allen Frame, and
JL.
J.L. Kennemore.
and all of them are still alive, correct?
No, my grandfather is deceased. J.L. and Guy Frame are still alive. I have no other
Okay.
proof that they have any new trustees.
Okay. Let's take a break.